As you may be aware, our congregation has a long tradition of doing very creative approaches to the book of Jonah, dating back years. Sometimes something akin to mime, sometimes PowerPoint presentations, all kinds of things. But I have the unique privilege of inviting forward someone who has become a dear friend of mine over the past couple of years. Matthew Johnson Harris is a Broadway director. He is a choreographer who literally has to head uptown to Alvin Ailey after this, so it really needed to start before 5 o'clock to make sure that he could teach some beautiful dance. He is an incredible actor and singer, but more important than all of that, to me at least, is he is my teacher. And he is somebody who has sat with me on countless occasions, on the phone, in person, over some really good Korean barbecue, to talk about race and racism, to talk about LGBTQ inclusion, to talk about all of the work that we have to do and the work that can be done through the arts themselves. So it is an absolute honor and joy to invite the person who I've known most recently as Associate Director of Parade, Matthew Johnson Harris, to kindly come forward. And we are going to bless before the Haftorah, and then I'm going to jump that way and cede the podium joyfully. I'm going to invite everyone to join in as we read. We don't sing, we could give our voices a little rest. On page 342, the blessings of the Haftorah.
Baruch
Ta Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar binviim tovim v'ratza v'divreihem hane'amarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah u'Moshe avdo u'Yisrael amo u'v'nviei ha'emet v'tzedek.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, everybody.
Hi.
I'm Matthew Johnson Harris, and it's been a great pleasure to get to know Rabbi Joshua. He's become my big brother in my head as we navigate just what it means to be a human trying to do life and finding the intersections of our individual identities, and through those intersections, hopefully have collective freedom for all of us, right? We're not free until we all are together, unitedly free. I most recently got to be the associate director of the Broadway revival of Parade. Did anybody see that? Yes. It is the hardest job I've ever done in my life. We were in rehearsals last November at the height of when Kanye West was Kanye Westing. And if you've seen our show, there's a lot of intersection between anti-Blackness and anti-Semitism. It's about Leo Frank, who was wrongfully lynched right after the Civil War, but also it's in the Confederate South. So there's a lot of undertones of anti-Blackness. So that day when we had to come into rehearsal after neo-Nazis in LA had that, banner, and you could hear a pin drop in the room because we were trying to find a way to make space for all of our collective grieving. But the way white supremacy works is it says, no, only I'm allowed to be sad. My people have hurt the most. And so it was literally one person didn't know what to say, then another person didn't know what to say. And I didn't take for granted that I was blessed to have a church that is now in a synagogue because our church, Middle Collegiate Church, burned down in the East Village. And so Joshua Staten and Easton Temple has been hosting us there. And I was like, oh my God, the synchronicity of that. I'm in a show about anti-Blackness, anti-Semitism with my black, dreadlocked pastor and my newly friend rabbi. This isn't an incident. I feel like this is supposed to happen. And it really started my interfaith journey. So it takes me to Jonah. Now, if you would have talked to me 3 years ago, I don't think me and Jonah would have had a lot in common. I do believe that I do run from God's calling a lot, where God has told me specifically that I need to do something. I'm like, okay, God, I don't know if I really want to do that. So that we do have in common, but outside of that, I didn't. I found myself in most situations what I would call the bigger person, the person that's willing to forgive and to move on. And that was kind of what I was known for, the nice guy in the business. And then we went into a pandemic, 2020 happened, and George Floyd was murdered. And when George Floyd was murdered, the whole world collectively started thinking about different ways they could make their rooms more diverse and more equitable. I have been in New York City since 2010, working as a choreographer and a Broadway professional, but never really pushing through. right after George Floyd was murdered, my phone did not stop ringing. Completely changed my life. And because of that, I really struggled with trust, believing that it was real. And this is the first time I've ever said this out loud, y'all, so bear with me. Really wanting there to be some type of, not just like accountability around like the lack of diversity for so many years, but also the accountability for the many years that I was in rehearsal rooms and the type of things that you think that I was like would hear would be in the 1960s, but these were the 2000s and 2010s. Immediately after George Floyd was murdered, I went to the Boston Conservatory of Music, and the African American students together signed a petition where we wrote down all of the different things that had happened to us during the course of being at that school. And one of them was we had a professor, a musical theater history teacher, that used to walk into the room just like to say the N-word, just like to say it. And this is 2009. And I remember us complaining at that time, and it was told that, okay, he's a little different, his approach is a little eccentric, but y'all, it was in no relation to what we were doing in the room. It was just shock value, him being able to use the power that he had, and us only being not even 1% of the population of the students that went to that school. So we all got together back in 2009 and wanted him gone, and it didn't happen. And then 2020, we all came out with our stories. The Boston Globe and then a lot of national papers covered it, and he was removed. And then after that, all of our phones started ringing of other teachers who had similar stories. And I remember one of my college roommates who called me, and he specifically told me one day when I was singing and rehearsing that black singers will never be on the level of anyone that is white. We're inferior. Like, that was verbatim out of his mouth. And he was from North Carolina, and he was one of the people that called me after it had came out that the professor had been removed. And I kid you not, his exact words on the phone call was, "I'm sorry, I didn't know what I was doing. Can you please not tell anybody?" And I didn't. I sat with that. And I was in this weird place where I was accepting all the blessings that seemed to be blessings that God was giving me as my career was catapulted into like the stratosphere, while also having this imposter syndrome that was unreal. You here because you black, you know? But just to call a thing, that's how white supremacy also wants to work. It wants you to say that you got into this space and you got in it by some trick and because they were trying to meet some quota, and that's why you're here, so you never fully live freely in your gifts. And I looked up and I was like, oh, well, that person is the producer's son. That person, you know, is dating the director. And I'm here because I'm black, and we all talented. We all here. It doesn't matter how you got here, right? But here's the deal that I am just now really learning to work through, thanks to a great therapist, y'all. Therapy is great. God and therapy have changed my life. But I was so depressed. And if y'all know the story of Jonah, he tells the people in Nineveh that they need to repent, and they do everything right. They say, okay, good, we got to get our lives together, okay? We got 40 days, we're going to fast, we're going to quit doing all the things that we were doing before, and then God shows them mercy. The same thing was happening in the world of Broadway. I was looking at these producers and these directors and these classmates that since 3 years has passed since George Floyd has been murdered, it's 2023, and I'm looking at them actually showing up and doing the work, and I can't get past it. My heart can allow them to be who they are now. And what I've learned from Jonah is sometimes we have to release our idea of what justice is to make space for all of our humanity, to make space for us to just be who we are, and all the icky, oh my gosh, this is the first time I've said this out loud because I'm still kind of dealing with it, because I'm still really processing the hurt of all of it, but one of my favorite quotes is, "It's easy to forgive and forget, but it's hard to let somebody forget that you forgave them." And that's exactly what I feel like I'm going through. And even though these people have shown up and they are doing the work, there are more organizations that are trying to find the intersections of how we change Broadway than there ever has been before. And I, like Jonah, can't get past wanting some type of God just come down like he did very Old Testament, well, in my world, very Old Testament. I come from the evangelical Christian world, but like, come down and say, look, And I had to, like, if I honestly was gonna be a person that believed that God shows me grace and he shows me, gives me the opportunity to fully be me in all of my humanity, I gotta let these people be who they are now. Like, forgiveness isn't about changing the past or a hope that like the past can change, but it's about making space so we can have a future. And thank you, because I feel like I just did another therapy session up here with y'all. Thank you for going through it with me, which takes me to the song that I want to sing for you today. It's from the musical Man of La Mancha. It's called The Impossible Dream. And I love this song because Don Quixote says, to be willing to march into hell for the heavenly cause, literally Jonah. Walk into hell for the heavenly cause to tell these people of all the ways that they have been doing wrong and deliver them and change them. And then he says in the song, and I know if I be true to this glorious quest, that my heart will lie peaceful and calm when I'm laid to my rest. Anger, resentment, or even justice won't give you peace. You have to heal yourself from the trauma of the things that happened in the past, move ahead with your heart healed, and that will be the only way you'll be able to lie peaceful and calm. It might feel impossible, but I believe, like Don Quixote says, this is our quest. To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave dare not go, to right the unrightable wrong, to love pure and chaste from afar, to try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable stars. This is my quest, to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to fight for the right without question or pause, to be willing to march into hell for that heavenly cause. And I know if I only be true to this glorious quest, that my heart will lie peaceful and calm as I'm laid to my rest. And the world will be better for this, that one man scorned and covered with scars still strove with his last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable stars. Thank you. Thank you, big brother.
Thank you so much.
Be blessed. Thank you so much.
So Matthew needs to go to Alvin Ailey.